When it comes to football pedigree, Arch Manning, he may be at the top of the list. Son of Cooper Manning, nephew to Peyton and Eli, earning his 5th star just yesterday. The younger Manning following in his uncle's footsteps as the quarterback at Isidore Newman School in New Orleans. Our partners at 24/7 Sports updating their rankings for the class of 2023. And as we take a look at them, Arch Manning was 5th overall, but as you can see, moving up to 2nd in the class of 2023 and the #1 overall quarterback. Let's welcome in the director of recruiting for 24/7 Sports, Steve Wiltfong. Steve, not only Arch Manning earning his 5th star, but a guy who also announced his commitment to Oklahoma right here on CBS Sports HQ. Another quarterback, Malachi Nelson, both now 5-star recruits. Tell us about that.
Yeah, with Arch Manning, you mentioned his uncles. We know for sure that at this point, he's stronger than both of them than they were at this point in time. Talked to the head coach over there at Isidore Newman this week, Nelson Stewart, and he told me that Arch is benching 240 and cleaning 250 right now, and they've been keeping track of quarterback lifting records for a long time, and those are school records. But he's 6'4", 210 pounds, and running 4.65. He can make all the throws on the football field. He has a high football IQ, and he can make plays with his legs. And then he's also ferocious with the ball in his hands when he needs to be as well. But he's a great leader. He's a team captain as a sophomore, so he checks every tangible and intangible box for us, and has already thrown for over 4,000 yards, 53 touchdowns, and just 13 interceptions as a 2-year starter, with a record of 18-3 under center. So Arch Manning's off and running, and then Malachi Nelson is right there with him. They have the same ranking right now. Malachi is a young man that I saw in person last summer throwing at an event in Indianapolis, a quarterback collective event, where he was throwing alongside some of the biggest names in the 2021 cycle. His future teammate at Oklahoma, Caleb Williams, Garrett Nussmeier, who's at LSU, Drake May at North Carolina, and Kyle McCord, who's at Ohio State. And Malachi Nelson was arguably the best thrower of the football at that QB collective event. He showed a lot of improvement from freshman to sophomore year, completed just 43% of his passes as a freshman, getting his feet wet on varsity in 11 games. But in 6 games in a COVID-shortened season as a sophomore, he completed nearly 74% of his attempts. The yards doubled, over 1,500 yards and 23 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions. If he would have played a full season, he would have put up some of the best numbers nationally of anybody at the position.
All right, so they're number 2 and 3 overall in the class of 2023 right now. The #1 player is a guy by the name of Levius Overton, from Milton High School in Georgia, defensive lineman. But listening to you, I mean, it sounds like both Arch Manning and Malachi Nelson could make a push for that #1 position. How tight is it to be #1 right now in the class of 2023?
No, absolutely. All 3 of them have the same grade right now. When you talk about Levius LT Overton, you're talking about a young man that had 21.5 sacks as a sophomore, playing in the largest classification in the state of Georgia. And over his first 2 years of high school football, my colleague Cooper Patagna pointed that out to me, but he's averaging 1.5 sacks per game on Friday nights. So he's an extremely disruptive player. Also a Division I basketball recruit. Ohio State has offered him in both sports. So all 3 young men are very talented.
Steve, when we're looking at this list and you look at some of the notable risers, we have to point out defensive lineman David Hicks, 4-star recruit. He's from Allen, Texas. Of course, that's where Kyler Murray went to high school. He jumped 22 spots, Steve, all the way up to #4. How did that happen?
Well, we got to see him in person live at some big showcase events. Our colleague Andrew Ivins was at a camp at Florida, and then he was at a camp at Miami the next day, and he was extremely dominant. And then you go back and look at the film where at Morton Ranch as a sophomore, he had 72 tackles, 7 sacks, and 5 forced fumbles. And then you see the development from the season to the camp showings. You know, he's very special too, and comes from great pedigree, like so many of these guys. Obviously, Arch Manning, the pedigree is well known. Levius Overton, his mom played volleyball at Kentucky. His dad played football at Oklahoma, and Hicks's dad played football at Grambling and bounced around in the NFL for a little bit too.
Right now, that crystal ball for Levius Overton is leaning toward Oklahoma. All right, we got a battle brewing down here in South Florida to be the #1 wide receiver in the class of 2023. Tell us about these two guys and how close they are.
Yeah, well, Brandon Innes is a guy that's been on our radar for years, and he's going into his junior year. He might have been the first recruit in this 2023 class to emerge national, and he looks like he could play major college football right now from a physical standpoint. But he's such a natural route runner, has terrific hands, can beat you in a variety of ways, can take you deep, and can also take the short one the distance. And he's done so in some big games in the state of Florida. Jaylen Brown's kind of newer to the scene, but one of the faster players in the country. Ran 10.66 in the 100-meter dash this year. Caught 18 passes as a sophomore, but turned 8 of them into touchdowns. Just an extremely explosive athlete and a guy that we think is still developing.
Steve Wiltfong, thank you so much, Director of Recruiting for 24/7 Sports. Love reading through those rankings. And by the way, you guys at home can check them out as well on 247sports.com. Steve, thank you. So again, 24/7 Sports updating their rankings for the class of 2023. There have been some guys making some big jumps, and the race for #1, it is very tight. Make sure to tune into 247sports.com, wall-to-wall team coverage, and of course, you can get those recruiting rankings. Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.